The topic for today is magnetism, the inherent power of the soul. Paramahansa Yogananda said, "Cultivate spiritual magnetism by letting God flow through you continuously and expressing unselfish love for all." And another quote from Yogananda, "Spiritual magnetism is the power of the soul to create whatever it needs for all-round happiness and well-being." At this moment, we find ourselves in this room on this wintry day. And around us on the wall are pictures of those souls who have attained a deeper realization, a oneness with the Divine Spirit, a connection. And from that connection, they've developed spiritual magnetism to attract and draw others to them, and to play their part on the elevation of this planet, the beings on it, and the life forms which are been given to live on this planet through our Divine Mother and Father. In the book Life, Love, God, Norm talks about his experiences of living in the ashram with Paramahansa Yogananda. And this event really struck me and illustrates somewhat of that power of magnetism, the spiritual magnetism. Mount Washington was the headquarters of SRF and still is. There was an elevator that took disciples up to the third floor, and also Master up there and some of the sisters. On this one particular afternoon, the entryway, the hallway going up to the elevator, was getting packed with all those devotees that wanted to be with Master and talk with him. And Norm was on the side, and Yogananda gestured to him, and Norm came over, and Yogananda said, "Big boy," that's what he called him. Let's take the stairs." So they kind of went hurriedly to the stairs, and Yogananda said, "Could you carry me up the flights of stairs?" And Norm did so. He got to the top, and Norm wasn't huffing or puffing at all. And Yogananda said, "Boy, you're not tired at all. You better, that's good, because you're going to need all the strength you can get when you go forward in your life." This was a very small example of Yogananda's personal magnetism, the spiritual magnetism. He was able to talk to thousands of people in the late 20s and early 30s. Basically, these lecture halls were just jam-packed with people to hear his message. And toward the end of his life, he was encouraging people through his realization and his realization to go forward with their own lives and seek the truth within themselves. Because all he wanted to do was to share the truth that he had experienced in his life, and if it would be Spirit's will, to bring other souls to get that, to understand and to be filled with that truth. His writings have inspired millions to begin or deepen their spiritual development. Brother Norm saw his book, Autobiography of a Yoga, on the desk or on a table in a friend's house. And from that book, he was able to pack up his things and go to Mount Washington and spend 5 years there. And through Paramahansa's magnetism, he was, in Norm's deep meditation and devotion to God, he was able to develop his own spiritual magnetism of his soul. And that magnetism would eventually draw others to him in the creation of Sunburst, where we find ourselves today. So it is that process for each of us to be inspired, to seek Divine Spirit, to have that constant companion with us. And I was reading the talk that Yogananda gave in 85 years ago on magnetism, and I realized that what he was talking about was the path that Sunburst has established here, the 8 paths of conscious living. Each one of those paths helps us to increase our magnetism. Yogananda was also very talked about using divine will, using our own will to increase the flow of magnetic energy, divine energy. And he prescribed these various practices to help us increase our energy. And the intention for all those practices was to draw us closer to the Spirit within us and to our soul, and to create spiritual magnetism so that we can offer it to others and they can offer it to others. Last week I saw this movie. It was called Pay It Forward, which was about this young boy who decided he was going to change the world by doing kind things to others. 3 kind things to others. And the only condition when the others received that kindness was to pass it on, for each one of those to do 3 kind things to another person. And by the end of the movie, you could see that consciousness had spread all across the country. And so it was about a story about people sharing their kindness to others. And through that kindness, he was able to attract others to him to further his work and change the world. It had a kind of a sad ending, but at the very end of the movie, he actually tried to stop a fight and was killed. And then his thousands of people gathered around his parents' home with candles and showed the magnetism that he had created. And that was a very moving thing to me, because I just thought that that's kind of like the essence of why we're here, is to gather other people in this power of magnetism. So some of these paths that Yogananda talked about are listed in the 8 paths that we have in Sunburst. And you can find those in the lodge. Do good works to help others. Recreation. Exercise to the body to develop willpower. Nourishment. Eat good food in moderation. Association, frequent the company of those who elevate and inspire. Speech, don't be a chatterbox. That's Yogananda's expression. Listen more, say few words only that inspire. Conduct, learn how to control the 5 sense horses. Study, be in nature and meditate, and study words of illumined teachers. And meditation, love of divine spirit through the self-discipline of meditation and quieting the mind. So if you read that section in Divine Romance, which is available in our store, you can see all these pathways in his writings. And the thing I realized about spiritual teachers is that they're only trying to bring the truth to be open vessels of the divine. And this resonance between Yogananda's words and our founder Norman Paulson's words really struck home to me, because it feels like it's almost like the same being or the same person that's talking. And as we listen to our brothers and sisters, we can realize that their inspiration is coming from that divine source, which is the divine light. And there's no separation. Yogananda was talking about, he used the expression stealing magnetism from the saints, from the illumined souls. And steal is kind of a strong word. But if our hearts are really sincere about knowing divine spirit, and we put up that desire, then that magnetism within us will attract the wisdom and the presence of those spirits, regardless of where they are, or if they're on the physical or in the astral or wherever. They are attracted to us, and they can help us. So Yogananda had that experience with his teacher, Sri Yudhiswar, coming to him and giving him some encouragement and instruction. And he was able to see the manifestation, or Yudhiswar was able to manifest a physical body and actually come to Yogananda. Yogananda's desire was so strong, he could help manifest the physical body of the saint or the teacher that he wanted to gain strength from. And so it was with Norm. So it was with Sri Yudhiswar. So it was with Lahiri and Babaji. So we're all part of that divine society of illumined beings, and we all have to go forward and try the best we can. I was looking at the place that I'm in, and all the thoughts and all the things that spin through my head, and realizing that that's really not me. That's the chatterbox that's moving inside, and the whatever you want to call it, ego. But through our quietness, being alone in nature and meditating and study the words of illumined teachers, we can feel this divine magnetism, and we can feel that we aren't alone, and that we are supported, and we are deeply loved. As a young man, I was studying art at the University of Illinois in Champaign-Urbana, and I happened to travel north to Chicago and then Arlington Heights, where my girlfriend was staying, and I went to a bookstore, and I found that book, Autobiography of a Yogi. And as I was reading it there, I realized that I was making a magnetic connection with the author of that book. And as the months followed, I found myself hitchhiking and journeying west and finding Sunburst. And then Norm encouraged us to write our autobiographies at an early time, and about 90% of those souls had read Autobiography of a Yogi. And I had this experience when I was looking for Sunburst. I was at a store in Santa Barbara, and as I was walking out the store, I felt this hand on my shoulder, and the hand turned me around. It was a very strong physical hand, and I looked around me, and there was nobody there. It was just a spiritual hand, I guess. And then I looked and found out that it directed to me to this place where I found about Sunburst. So the magnetism of Norm and those souls that were gathering the community of Sunburst and Yogananda were pretty busy in those early days gathering people together. And as we continue that work into the future, let's realize that Sunburst is a body of souls that knows no borders, and that can feel the love and the connection regardless of where each one is. And so as we come to elevate ourselves, I'd like to read the last part of this chapter that Yogananda expressed. The love of God, the love of Spirit, is an all-consuming love. Once you have experienced it, it shall lead you on and on in the eternal realms. That love will never be taken away from your heart. It shall burn there, and in its fire you shall find the great magnetism of Spirit that draws others unto you and attracts whatsoever you truly need and desire. So as we go forth into our quiet time, let's find a comfortable seat with our sitting straight. And we can find that center place between the two eyebrows and inward from the top of the head and from the two. And just comfortably sit in that place, your consciousness. And then we'll just take a few deep breaths. And if you have a technique, you can use that now. If you would like to just always stay in that center place and just watch your breath, relax. You can visualize a light above the crown of your head. as I begin to realize that this life has so many miracles within it. As I was reflecting on all the miracles that have brought me to this family of souls in Sunburst, I can feel that presence fill this room. Where there is no separation, where I can feel at home and not alone. Loneliness can be challenging at times. I know for myself. But the blessing of having these teachings, these words from these divine souls, that have attracted us to them, in the physical or in the spirit, it makes no difference. Yogananda said that when he was gone, as you realize that self within you, you will know me much more deeply than when I was alive in the whispers of eternity. For those who have been blessed to have been present at the times when these great souls were speaking and articulating, know that that presence still exists more fully as you meditate deeply and want to know the Divine Spirit. And then they are here to comfort us and to guide us home. So as we draw into this beautiful day, I'd like to offer a prayer up to Spirit, and you can follow me if you'd like. O Divine Spirit, my beloved, thank you for your presence with us this moment. Be with us as we go about this day, as we go about our lives. If it be thy will, draw others unto us, so that we may share your divine truths. And become one great soul amongst billions in your divine light. Amen.
as I still my mind. Heaven is here, heaven is here, heaven is here right now. When I see your light as I meditate, heaven is here, heaven is here, heaven is here right now. When I feel your love in the garden of peace, heaven is here, heaven is here, heaven is here right now. When each face I see shines just like the sun, heaven is here, heaven is here, heaven is here right now. When virtue rules and guides our lives, heaven is here, heaven is here, heaven is here right now. When I hear the as I still my mind, heaven is here, heaven is here, heaven is here right now. When I see your light as I meditate, heaven is here, heaven is here, heaven is here right now. When I feel your love in the garden of peace, heaven is here, heaven is here, heaven is here right now. When each face I see shines just like the sun, heaven is here, heaven is here, heaven is here right now. When virtue rules and guides our lives, heaven is here, heaven is here, heaven is here